Good morning, guys. It's been a while since I've done a more political video. And I'm doing this because I do want people from different sides of the political aisle to understand what it is that I've been saying for a while. Definitely people that have followed my political commentary, they know exactly where I'm going with this, certainly if you're reading the title. But recently what happened is that there was a relief bill that I think is a lot of people, which I guess can be said for pretty much every bill, they don't really read it. And they go by what people champion it say that it is or put you under the impression. This is how people end up supporting things that they otherwise generally would grill the other side in the event that they did it. Or on the opposite side, how people oppose something that they once supported. If they slap an R or D next to their name, that is more so the determining factor. But I've documented documented the history in terms of the Republicans and how they have supported socialistic things. Now, when it comes to socialism, right, I got to be clear because there are going to be some people who are going to operate on their own definition of socialism in terms of what I talk about as socialistic. I know some people when we talk about like heavily regulated means or completely community controlled means, state controlled means in the case of the state socialist. That's when they say that it is socialism. But I think right now what we're talking about more socialistic in policy. We'd agree that for the most part that welfare statism is something that is along the lines of socialism. So let's not harp too much even on that though. At least for the sake of this video, let's talk about what this actually is and what this bill actually entails. Whether you deem it as socialism or not may move with your personal definition, but I'm focused more on something that generally Republicans, for the most part, their supporter, the conservative base would be in opposition to something like this. But they are supporting this because of different reasons and so forth. And before I get started and before we go into this recent bill, which was opposed by Democrats, though it was introduced by a bunch of Republicans, before we get into that, I guess I'm also want to discuss how it doesn't change I guess socialism is determined in this case, in this context, by its tenure. In that case, you would actually make an argument for every single bailout that exists because a lot of those are temporary, or even welfare, even more social welfare. There's certain things that you have to meet. There's a certain tenure that you can even stay on it in a lot of cases. So, but it doesn't, and I understand, right, that government has created a lot of these issues. I've just talked about this deal. I'm going to try to see if I can get this video monetized, so I'm not going to talk about what's actually causing it. But you guys know, what's happening in the world and why people are freaking out. But I understand that the state has put a lot of people out of work because of the rules that they set in place, demanding that people stay at home, demanding that certain industries shut completely down. I'm not negating that. I'm not disagreeing with that. But I would actually confirm that would make it more socialistic because communist governments have done it all the time. Well, they completely control things. They shut people down. They determine who's going to work here, how they got to work there, what hours they got to work, how much they got to produce. So, hey, that doesn't really change much. But going into the actual bill, because a lot of people are under this misunderstanding, and this will pop up here in a little bit. I don't know why this has been screwing up for me a lot lately. There we go. The part that I want to discuss is the cash portion. There's other parts of this bill that I'd encourage you to read, but let's talk about the cash portion that I think is there's a lot of misunderstanding surrounding it. A lot of people are rationalizing with it because they think that they're getting their money back, right? That's how Republicans are, or their supporters are trying to rationalize with this by suggesting that they're getting their money back. Now, never mind that doesn't really explain or express how government actually works because it's not a producer, right? So if they spend the money already, then you're not getting anything that you got or were taxed in the past years, right? That money's already gone. They're just redistributing wealth is essentially what's happening. But more so, this speaks to the misunderstanding of what this bill is, because it's not just a flat cash rate for every single individual in this world. That's not how it works. As you can see, the starting point, yes, is $1,200 for an individual, or $2,400 for like a married couple. But when you look at the special rules in place, it changes basically everything, because this isn't the case, right? It does say that you get shall not be less than 600 or 1,200 in the case of a joint return. But like a lot of welfare programs, let's start here. You're awarded for how many kids that you have. This is going into Section 24C. If you know what a qualifying child is, people that have filed taxes, you know exactly what this means, where they're giving you credit for kids. All right, they're giving you credit. They're giving you credit for kids. So you're getting this multiplied by the qualifying children that you absolutely have. But this is where things get very interesting, because it's saying that if you're basically qualifying as a quote unquote taxpayer, if you have a qualifying income of at least $2,500. So basically, that's everybody that has worked at some point in time, for the most part, that you're at least qualifying for it. But that's the starting point. Where it ends, though, is not just everybody that paid into it, or everybody that, which is kind of a misspeak, because you don't necessarily pay into it. Again, they spend the money and they sell off the assets of the board and they print it. That's a subject for another video when we talk about the Federal Reserve, right? But where people completely have ignored things, right, and trying to rationalize with this garbage, is that, as it states right here, the amount of credit allowed shall be reduced, but not below zero. Oh, of course, you can get to zero. You just owe money, is what they're saying. By 5% of so much of the taxpayer's adjusted income that exceeds $75,000 or $150,000 in the case of a joint return. What this is saying is that you will not get the cash the more you make above, they start taking it away above 75,000. So if my math serves me correctly, almost right below, so about 99,000 for an individual. So right below 100,000, you don't qualify. You know, that cash that would have been completely phased out, that 1,200 or 2,400. Well, 1,200 in the case of the individual. So I guess you're looking at maybe 198,000, almost 200,000. If you make that as a joint married couple, then it's completely phased out. By then, it's completely phased out. So basically, once you get to that number, around roughly 98,000 an individual, almost 200,000 for a married couple, the money is not there. You're not getting anything out of this. So this is, again, where I think the people that support it, that generally would not support something like this, have lost, because they think that, or lost it, because they're under this moronic impression that, oh, well, it's just everybody just getting their money back, or no, that's not how it works. You obviously have to get someone else's redistributed money in this case, because there are people that aren't getting anything. And it's a significant amount when you consider that number. Like, I wouldn't qualify, for example. I wouldn't get anything, because, our household, we're making more than that. So we're not going to get anything back. And chances are you. So this idea that, well, we're getting back what we paid into it. No, the more you paid into it, the less you get over 75,000 as an individual. Now, yes, we can have the conversation about why that is the case. We can talk about what is temporary or not. Again, I think you may not understand what welfare programs exist here already, but I encourage you guys to actually read some of the bills that get passed out there and some of the things that these guys support. I've talked about this with gun control and Republicans as well. Like this idea that they just like they may be less socialistic in some cases than the Democrats are, but some of this stuff it just goes with who presents it, man, and they'll support it in the event that their guys present it, but in the event that the opposite guy presents something, then they don't like it anymore. This bill ultimately comes down to the fact that it's not true if you are talking about you're getting your money back. No, the more money that you make, you're getting absolutely nothing back once you hit a certain threshold. It's like a lot of welfare programs, right? It's actually just like a lot of welfare programs. The minute you make above a certain amount, you don't qualify for it. I don't know what else y'all want me to say, man.